Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by DrRoto.com.
Yo, everybody, it's your ride. So let's get to it. Bring the pain! What's up, everybody? It's Heat Override, and I'm ready to bring the pain for you and Dr. Roto this week. Ooh, yeah! Woo, look at that shirt right there, my boy Club Unity J. Got the 808. You know how that rolls. We got the bass, because we do it like that. That's what we do. Man, I'm so jacked up. But you know what really jacks me up even more is, one, what happened this weekend? Two, what happened this weekend? And three, how one sport saved the other two sports. So that is why I say get over to Dr. Roto. Use code word Trevor, and you will get 20% off of your subscription right now, so you could try and also be our rich friend. Yeah! I mean, after Trevor took it down with 100K last week, you definitely want to jump on board. That's why we're running this special. And you better catch that special before it runs out, people, because that's what it is. This show is live. So if you have a couple questions or anything you want to add in, maybe your take, maybe you got to take about what happened this weekend at UFC 321, Aspinall versus Gane. Like what that, we will get to that. But first, I do want to say thank you for jumping on. If you haven't seen, I am up for the best podcast in Erie. That is my home city. That is where I do, Erie, Pennsylvania. That's where I do all my stuff from. So I'm up. That's an honor, of course. I hope I make it. I pretty much lose every year because pretty much a lot of people in my city don't really care about sports, gambling, and all that stuff. So it's like an enigma, huh? Yeah, but you know what happens to enigmas? They come to the top. Oh, yeah. That's what we're doing today, people. But the thing is I am thankful for all of my supporters, my Painbringers, the subscribers at DrRoto.com, and everybody I talk to. I love to talk sports. I love to talk wrestling. I love to talk video games, video game music. I'm going head-to-head against one of my guy, the Messengers, a VGM Journey, and he just does all video game music. So sometimes I think some podcasts get cliched. People look at the name, Bring the Pain. Guess what? I'm a point fighter. I do what I do. But at the same time, I'm also I'm trying to bring the pain to the slates. That's my just do it like Nike. That's what Bring the Pain is. It's my mantra, right? So that being said, I'm going to have a big, crazy show for you today. We're going to, of course, give out the IDP pickup of the week. I got a guy, Juicy's about to roast. He's just coming off of a bye week. So that's a little clue for you. Also, you'll get the Macho Pick of the week. Ooh, yeah. We'll talk about that and get to that as well, too. But like I said, if you have any comments or anything right now, you know, you're more than willing to pop in, pipe in, talk. Right now, Fuego Steve, the other Steves, whatever's going on in the NBA, Discord at Dr. Roto, they got lineups already ready to hit. I'll talk about that in a minute. But hey, let's do what we went overall. Overall, for UFC 321, I went 8-4 with, of course, the Tom Aspinall fight being considered a no decision. So that's not a tie, that's not a loss. 8-4 overall, not bad. Unfortunately, for the Fight Club of Pain, I went 1-3. Dan was more modest, 2-2. I just had bigger likes. I wanted to go with Jandiroba. I just wanted her to win. But guess what? That doesn't happen. We don't always get our way. And just because I picked Jandiroba doesn't mean that I didn't have Mackenzie Dern distance. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we talk about. That's what the Fight Club of Pain does. We talk about finishes. We find finishes, and we exploit them. We see if they can happen. We give you guys great fight theory, and then we flip it on back, and we hit you with those bets. And that's why we had a lot of great bets hit. We'll talk about a few of those in a few seconds. However, now, I did go 1-4 on my Parlay of Pain after going 4-1. So again, this is just one of those things where it just didn't work out. I went for a lot of no distance, and guess what? It went distance. Now, I have a lot to say about a few of those fights, but, you know, we'll get to that in a few minutes. What I do want to say is that UFC Abu Dhabi, UFC 321, was a train wreck. Like, it started out like there was hope, all right, with the Amorim fight. And then it just tailspinned into a couple decisions that may have not went a lot of people's way, that some people thought was different. We will talk about that, right? And then it ended with an eye poke. So let's start talking about that. Let's get to that, and we'll talk about the other cool things that happened. But I will talk about why I always hedge. Because I went 100% in my DFS lineups on Tom Aspinall, that's my fault. That's whatever. However you want to call it, however you want to see it. I understand what I did. But because I went that way, I went and played a late night play, because that literally put me $20 in the hole. So I went right to the showdown slate, NBA, threw in a lineup in the subs only Discord, and I took 29th place. I was 4 points away from $10,000. I am not an NBA expert, but what I am is an expert at everything else. And because of my amazing lineup building skills, I'm able to put competitive lineups in any sport and practically cash. That's my gift as a human being. So that is why that's a big reason why I'm on Doc's staff. People look at me and go, I can't believe he just suggested that. Well, there's a guy I suggested this week. I can't believe I suggested either. And I will never do that again. I promise you, for the rest of this year. Well, you gotta take chances, but not on that guy, right? And we'll talk about that. But you have to hedge. So because I was able to win, so I ended up tying like 6, 7, 8 people. And of course, the lineup trains were huge. But I was able to pull down $40 off of that slate, off of $9, was it $9? $4 buy-in. One of those things. I think it was a $4 buy-in. But a chance at $10,000. Maybe it was not. But that being said, I was able to return all that money that I lost out on the DFS side of things. Betting went pretty good, even though the parlay of pain was painful. I was able to get a lot of the other bets and get the winners because I went 8-4. So that really helped out. That being said, I always try to strive for the hedging, for the round robining. If you don't understand that, I can definitely talk to you about that in the subs only Discord at Dr. Roto. Because I'm not going to take that time and do it all the time on my podcast. I mean, if you got a question about it, you could ask. But most of that is stuff that needs to be talked about in a Discord so that I have the time, the proper time to give all of you or whoever is asking that question answered correctly. So, that being said, now I've said that like 3 times now, and I don't know why, but that's what we're doing. So, 8-4, we get through that. What I did say, so Klein, a lot of people didn't think Klein was going to win. Klein was 18% owned, around 18, depending on the slate. Delgado was 22%. Aspinall was near 70%, 70 in some things, and Park was 22%. So Park was one of my big recommendations for the DFS slate. Yeah, it doesn't matter that he lost. The thing is that he was able to be consistent, be active, and get us points and save us salary. That's what DFS is about. So sometimes the betting has to cover the DFS, and sometimes the DFS can help cover the betting. And if you play it right, you can play a lot of your, you could say, dogs on the DFS slate. So when they lose, you're more unique with your lineup as opposed to being unique and maybe making a plus 200 over just getting that $6,700 fighter that just won the fight in the first round. And now you have 110 points that other people don't have. So, and I saw that when I saw one of the lowest percentages last week at 2%. And nothing in this slate, nothing was lower than that. So, I mean, you could find some 10s, 11s, but it wasn't really, nobody played them because the middle of the card was so stacked with great talent that we were able to pay for those people. Now, that being said, we'll move over to the NFL side. Tez Johnson. Wait a minute. Tez. Excuse me. Tez Johnson. Guess who's part of the ultra contrarian lineup? Tez Johnson. Guess who was 11% owned? On the NFL slate, that's not really that big. Tez Johnson. Now, I understand that he didn't have the best of games, but he was able to give us that salary relief and that 11% ownership that worked. Derrick Henry was 15% owned. Jonathan Taylor was 34% owned around, depending on the slate, people. Depending on the slate. And Barkley was around 20%. But I was able to get Barkley for 10% owned on a few of the single entry lineups. That is why Danger and the guys are pulling that single entry show on Saturday. Also, Fuego Steve being a huge single entry guy. He's pulling me in, but the problem is like, I don't really care if I lose it, $1, $2, $3. Like, I'd rather throw down $1 and try to win the 50,000 on a unique lineup rather than throw $1 and go into a $3,000 contest with only $500 being the first place win. So for me, that'll bring up something else I got coming up too. But for me, that is a hole right there. Now, you know what? I'm going to get into it right now. So the lineup trains, I went into a big double up on the Monday slate. No, I want to say, no, it was the 4 p.m. games. Anyway, I went into one of their big double ups. And it was just lineup trained ridden. Literally, first place was lineup trained. Second place was lineup trained. Third place was lineup trained. I put one lineup in. I hit one of the trains. And that train wasn't one of the better trains. Unfortunately, for my entry fee, I got 25% back because of all the tying that happened in that. And this is what we have been talking about. Be unique with your contest. Even the 50-50s, they're overloading the 50-50s. They're overloading all the double ups. We all know this. But why are we giving in to the lineup trains? And, there could be some conspiracies behind this thought or not, whatever you may think. But at the same time, I'm not about that game. That's what makes betting unique, because even if you get on drinks. But this was literally the first time, well, not first time, but one of the times recently that since I've been watching it more, that the lineup trains had not paid out. As a double up, first of all, regardless of your rules, sports books, we know you have rules. I will call you out right now. I'll bring the burn. Bro, I don't even care. It was on FanDuel, right? I know you got your little thing. And you can hate it or love it, bro. But I'm going to talk to you like a man. I'm going to talk to you like a site. I'm going to talk to you like you owe us money, because you do. Because you consider this a double up, right? So if I'm putting in $2, I should win $4 if my thing says green. But because they're cutting into your fees, so check this out. I did a percentage of that. I went and did a lineup train that actually hit it up. The sports books make more money when the trains hit, because under their new rules, go check them. Under their new rules, they only have to pay that lineup what they feel. That is why for my $2 double up, I got 55 cents. Now, that's not considered a double up. That's considered I paid you money. So they're going to say, well, we paid all the other people that tied the money. And then when we came to you guys in the end, we only could give you guys 55 cents. That sucks. That sucks. And that makes me not want to even play on that site or play in those contests. The one thing I really do like about DraftKings, and I commend you up and down, DraftKings, I love you, yay, is your draft UFC contests. You're literally putting it between 3 people. You could do 4. I want to see 5. But you are doing these contests with 3 people. You're putting up $1, $2, well, $1, $5, $10, $25, $50, $100, etc., etc., etc. But you get to pick your players or your fighters, and whatever fighters, just like every other draft, whatever fighters is, it's unique. I love that it's a best ball setup, and this is by far one of the best things this year that the UFC has added, well, that has been added for the UFC on any site that I've played on or seen. I highly recommend it. Of course, you're going to run across this guy called B Heels, this other guy, Heat Override, And there's another dude out there. This guy's got like a bearded glasses. Looks like he lifts. If I saw his name, I would see. I could be like, that's him. But me and them guys are usually the guys that are rolling in those contests. And we're playing a lot of them. And I will say that. That's what we're doing. And we're not hounding. We just like it's a better atmosphere. You throw $5 down, you win $13.70, I think, back, $14.70 back, or whatever not. Yeah, I think it's $13.70. And you move on, you go on. You just got to pick. You pick your fighters. If you think that you have some underdogs that'll win, pick them. Pick them. You're probably not going to, but pick them and challenge us. You know, I brought this up when I was talking with Angelo from We Want Picks, and I don't really know if he sees it or if he's allowed to play it or if it's allowed in your state. That's another thing. It has to be allowed in your state. And I think for the most part, if it's a DFS slate, it may be. But unfortunately, like drafts, we can't do half-quarter drafts here in Pennsylvania. So I bring that up because these are different sites. These are different ways you can play. When you think that one is becoming stagnant with lineup trains, you have a sway. But I do love my experience on FanDuel. I will not rat them out. I do love it. I support them constantly. I talk about them. And you know, when you're on the top, you're going to have some people come at you when something like that happens. But look, I'm not mad. I don't want my $3.45. Look, I won 55 cents. I know that I was in it. But here's the thing. I'm a human, and I'm matched with the train put together. That means I'm just as efficient as a computer, and there's been incidences in the UFC when the fights get canceled, especially the day prior or the day of. Like when you had those 3 fights canceled a few weeks ago, whatever it was. That was big. The DFS simulators could not handle that. So therefore, they were putting in really bad plays. And it goes because they're not designed for that. That's why being part of a community like at Dr. Roto coming to the office saying he'd override, they just pulled this fight because you had to go talk about burgers with your boy Dan on the Fight Club of Pain, and now Hamdy's missing a fight. Well, Hamdy fought. But I will say, Walter Walker calling him the chocolate pepper pig was hilarious. If none of y'all know what I'm talking about, go to YouTube and put chocolate pepper pig. So if you don't know, Walter Walker literally has like this distinct voice. And he's like, oh, get that guy that just handled the guy, the Egyptian guy, the Pepper the pig. He's the chocolate pepper the pig. That's probably my best Walter Walker imitation I could ever do. But that being said, I love you, Walter Walker. You've won me a lot of money. No qualms. But that was great, and that's some of the good things that this weekend at UFC 321 got. So, you know, I took my beats in the NFL. I talked about Saquon Barkley. The macho pick of the week was Derrick Henry. He didn't get 200 yards. I was a little short on that, but he did get 2 touchdowns. And that's a call. That's a call made on this show last week. And I had 2 guys. One drew my heart to him, but I picked this other guy. So you'll love that, and you'll see why. Because you know what happened last week to them. So, but I'm the guy, one of the guys, that said Spencer Rattler should have a great game. All the numbers look good. Rattler was popping in the Sims. Rattler, Olave, Shaheed. Now, Shaheed was my play because I didn't trust Olave. And I probably shouldn't have fully trusted Olave. I should have went Shaheed. I did have Shaheed in a lineup. So that was a good lineup. That was actually, I had Shaheed in a Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor lineup. But hey, you know, we don't give all of our lineups out, but we can talk about them. So, you know, I got to say this, bro, Spencer Rattler, this goes for you too, Caleb Williams. I know a lot of people are like, hey, just give Ben Johnson some time. He's going to be a great guy. We're going to make it happen. Bro, you couldn't tell me by year 2 that Ryan Leaf was trash? You couldn't tell me? You couldn't tell me that in year 1, you couldn't tell that Johnny Manziel was trash, right? And I mean, they're great football players, but when you get to the NFL and you play like trash, you're trash. Not you, your game, your ability is trash in the NFL because it doesn't translate well. It's just what happens. NFL's a hard league. Live with it. That's why I'm the Painbringer. So when you get to there, look, you're not doing anything for me. And today, I called Ben Johnson the Mike Martz. This guy isn't going to win anything. And maybe they will. No, I don't think they will. Not with Caleb Williams. I have seen Caleb Williams, like all of you. I've seen his best games. I've seen his worst games. But pretty much what you get from Caleb Williams is what you got this weekend. Another crappy game. They go different areas. Now, remember when I was, okay, maybe you didn't, but you need to watch the Ultra Contrarian show. If you were, yes, bro, it's good to have you back, Jamal. Dude, we'll get to that in a second, but that was funny. That was funny because I think he wants a wrestling match. I think he sees that's a challenge. Like, okay, we got a question. So we'll just put that right there. And everybody, y'all can read that. So, as him calling him the chocolate to pepper the pig, I think I was actually surprised Hamdy actually wrestled. I was so surprised. I thought he was going to go in there and just take it right to Chris Barnett. Bro, and seeing Chris Barnett's butt, that was hilarious. That whole fight was just, this is why I'm so happy that fight happened. Because in my write-up, I think I called Chris Barnett a meatloaf, and I think I called Hamdy a big giant piece of ham or something. And I ended that with a soda. So, dude, it is weird to call out somebody, but when you see somebody that can wrestle like that, I think that's what he says. That means Walter Walker wants his fifth. He wants that ankle lock. He wants to get that. And he wants to put it on that dude because he feels like he could put it on that guy. And if that's a challenge to him, he wants to go down in rank. Because if he loses that fight, he's going to go down. But if he wins that fight with an ankle lock, then he got Hamdy. But for some reason, he's like, I just want to fight that guy. I get it all the time in my fights. All the time in my point fights. As a matter of fact, as I talked about last week, I didn't even have any competition because in my division, a lot of people have knee problems, hip problems, back problems, etc. So, I'm not saying they're all old guy beaten up. I'm 47 and I'm fit as shit. But at the same time, a lot of these other guys don't go at it like I do. I'm part of a team, a fighting team at TKO Erie. And for us, that's what we do. We don't leave bad product on the field like Caleb Williams and Spencer Rattler. Dude, Spencer Rattler, you need to be lit up. Trevor was nice to you. I am not. Dude, you suck. You got benched for a rookie, bro. And at the same time, you couldn't even get these players a ball. You've constantly been walking the line of benching all year long. And everybody knows that the Saints suck and your defense is good. The Saints defense is good. But they get constantly put at the bottom of the DFS slates for me to take advantage of. 18 points a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. I take a meatloaf versus shawarma. We get wild in the UFC world. We get wild. Yes. Dude, I gotta see that fight. I will be the Don King of that promotion. Can I get a piece of a ham? And can I get a beef steak over here, man? Walter Walker is gonna get in that. He would beat him. He would beat him. I definitely beat. Can we get it? I want to win some money. Ankle lock. Let's get it. So let's give a little rundown. Of course, Mizuki beat up Amorim, literally the most expensive fighter against the cheapest fighter. This is why a lot of people say the women's MMA, they don't bet on it because they're just never like truly overwhelming. There's some, and we'll get to one of them soon, right? Then you got Asmund Maxim versus Mitch Raposo. Maxim was all right. I picked Raposo, and I picked Mizuki. Well, no, I picked Amorim. So I'm at 1-1 at this point. But I picked Raposo because I just thought he was going to be more active, come inside. I didn't like it. And then Maxim kind of ragdolled him the whole time. And that was one of those weird decisions that was like, okay, wait a minute, did that just happen? And it did. So then we get to the Hamdy versus Chris Barnett fight like we were just talking about. Hamdy out-wrestled him. He kept him on the ground. I thought Hamdy almost got a few knockouts. But then that fight took the weirdest thing ever. They gave Hamdy a warning that he couldn't touch the back of his neck. So Hamdy gets all scared. And then Chris Barnett curls up in a turtle position with his hands like this, exposing the back of his neck. And Hamdy just looks at the back of his neck for like at least 5 minutes of the rest of this fight. After the the whole the point and everything like that. And I'm sitting here like, okay, wait a minute. I'm like, dude, start slamming him from the side. You're a wrestler. Turn him over. Start ground and pounding his ass. What is going on, bro? But yeah, here we are. We're just doing it. Like, it's always a no bet. I agree with that, Jamal. But sometimes those finishes are great. So I'm just like, that whole fight started stinking. It was right about then that Raposo, I still feel he kind of lost that fight, but I'm happy I picked him. So I picked Hamdy, 2-1 at this point. Then we get to Nathaniel Wood versus Jose Delgado. I'm going to tell you this right now. I watched the fight back. I know that Nathaniel Wood is good. The prodigy is good. He hit a couple, I want to say 3 to 4 hard shots in the second round. You can go check the scorecards. You can go check the winning rounds. I don't care. Delgado took his time and pieced up Wood. He countered everything he needed to do. And yes, he didn't have to be aggressive because he was the better fighter. He won that fight. I don't care what you say. Delgado won that fight. He outlanded him. He outstruck him. He did everything he needed to win. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's when I knew that this card was trash. That's when I knew 321 was going to be a giant jump right in a damn can with water pouring on it to get poured over some vegetables y'all going to eat this fall, right? We're talking about manure. We're talking about watered shit, right? And I'm sitting there like watching this shit go down. And at the same time, he's a chocolate pepper pig, a crab in the crab. He was. That crack was big, bro. And then they started showing the angles. So at the same time, we get to that. And I'm just like, I'm just angry. I'm done. So then we get the Ludwig Klein versus Matthias Rebecki. Amazing fight. I just knew that this fight wasn't going off. But dude, it's funny how the MMA community loves to rip on Rebecki. And literally, I've heard the term, a good gust of wind could make that boy crack blood. And he did. He cracked a lot of blood. But he also was able to break Klein's ankle, whatever way it means, sprain, break, all that. Klein is literally fighting for his life, getting smashed by Rebecki. They don't call the fight, thought they were. I had the under, part of the parlay of pain. I don't understand why this isn't happening, this under. I don't care who wins. I just want that to happen. And because I picked Klein. And all Rebecki had to do was literally try to go for an ankle lock. All he had to do. We're not talking Cam Scattaboo, people. We're talking this man finished the fight. He was on his back for like 5 minutes almost with a broken ankle, having a beast of a man beat on his face. I got nothing. Klein deserved that win, but now he's got a long road to recovery. And that sucks for him, man. That really sucks for him. So there's that. There's the comment for that. Truly love the comments that come in. But to me, it shows where fighter IQ is. And I know Rebecki, being a bull, was just going to go for that win. Why it wasn't stopped, I don't know. But again, anybody who fights through an injury like that to win an MMA fight, you got my respect. You got my respect, Klein. You've won me a lot of money this year. I will see you next year. I hope nothing but a speedy recovery for you. Love it. Then we get to Jung Young Park. Of course, I picked Aliskerov. And Park perfect for the DFS slate. An amazing fight. I thought Park could have won that fight. I really do. He was close to that. So this is about where the card's kind of giving me what I got, but still there's weird stuff. And at this point, there's already been like 5 nut kicks. So I'm like, I'm making a joke in there. I'm like, okay, can we just get over the nut kicks for this event? Like, I don't need any more. No, there was more. And I'm not going to go back and count, but I'm pretty sure there was over 6 or 7 nut kicks on this pay-per-view. So it was kind of like we were getting kicked in the nuts, and then we're getting all these weird decisions, and then eventually we get what we get at the end. So we'll get there. So Almeida loses to Volkov, right? All right, I missed the fight. I did pick Murzaganov. I picked him over Rakic. Great win right there. Bro, Rakic was so much bigger, but like, it didn't care, man. He had my boy Azamat Murzaganov, right? He did. But like, then dude just got up and knocked him out. That was great. I'm like, okay, this is the way we're starting the main fight. Boom. Get to Almeida. Almeida literally tried to hold a man down and lost. That might have worked in Australia last week. We 16. Yes. This card literally almost hit that. It literally almost hit that. I mean, it just the Hamdy hit, and after that, just inciting the nuts. I think it was 10, man. I think it was 10 because I was getting pretty pissed. So I picked Almeida, got that loss. Man, I'm 7-3 at this point. Of course, as described on the Fight Club of Pain, Umar Nurmagomedov. I did it, Dan! Nurmagomedov! Woo! Right? He got that win. Man, but Batista looked good. Batista fought hard. Batista got up. Mario Batista is an amazing fighter, but I'm going to tell you right now, you better watch out for Umar going forward. This boy means he wants that rematch. So we'll get to that. But, oh, man. Yes, so we'll go back to this comment here from Jamal. He could just stood up. Dude, that's all it would have taken. It's all it would have taken. That would have been a ground rule knockout. And that's where the fighter IQ kind of comes in. You got to be able to watch. You got to understand. So you're telling me in all of now I'm as a fighter, I know when I'm fighting. People scream at me during the whole time, and my coach will scream at me, and I don't hear them. So I will say that before I say this next comment about Rebecca. The dude, you're literally chest to chest with the guy, and you don't know he's got a broken ankle. He actually looked over to his corner while you were manhumping him and said, my ankle's broke. You didn't hear that? And then, like, he's literally saying, that was another weird moment. I was like, wait a minute, what's Klein doing? What? I was flipping out. I was like, I didn't even know. Then we all caught on that point that his ankle was broken, right? So I'm sitting here looking at all this going down, and I'm like, now I'm confused. Now I'm getting angry. Now I'm like, whatever happens, happens. So I stopped betting immediately. No more live bets. I'm just like, I can't trust anything. I'm like, fine. My bets are doing all right. Even though the parlay of pain sunk and a few of the other things sunk, I still won some finishing bets. I still won just some money lines with decision, no decision. So I'm happy I got that. But I will say that leading up to this point of the card, it was like fresh to get the Umar Mario fight. But then we got that amazing fight between Verna Jandiroba and Mackenzie Dern, the new strawweight champion of the world, Mr. Assbreaker herself, Mackenzie Dern. Broke the internet. I didn't care. I was all about where Jandiroba was looking. That was the best part for me. And she was looking at Dern, and these two girls beat the shit out of each other. Literally beat each other down. Had it all. Jandiroba scored, I think, 114 points in a losing effort. I think it was. I think it's more on FanDuel, but like I got to go check while we do this. But I couldn't believe that match was so awesome. And this is what I say, like, when we're in these matches and you're getting, so, yeah, Jandaroba scored 124 points in a loss on DraftKings. 124, right? My boy, Quillen Salkid, got a first round kick knockout. Straight slept the dude. Dude did the Julio. He was like, right? Right? And then Jandaroba scored more points than that. And that's because 9 takedowns. Takedowns are 5 points on DraftKings if you don't know that. So wrestling is credited highly on DraftKings. That's what makes the Sandhagen versus Valashvili fight so perfect, because Rob had 20 takedowns. It was almost like what happened to DDP. Or not, yeah, what happened to DDP in Chimev. But this wasn't punching. Literally slamming the shit out of somebody. And that is what's amazing. I did pick Jandaroba. Dern won the title. I got no problem with that. She's going to have a great lineup. But I mean, like, where do you go with Jandaroba? You can't run it back. She already proved she beat you twice. She beat you on her feet. Then you tried to do everything you did. You got better. You're just not better. And that happens. There's just people that aren't better than me. That's why I'm the overall points champion, grand champion of the MA Tour. Because when they did fight me and show up to fight me, they couldn't beat me. And when they don't feel well or have bad knees, it's best to pull out, because we're going to hurt you, or I'm going to hurt you. You know, you don't want to get hurt. If I'm hurt, I pull out of a fight. Like I said, not this last tournament, but the 2 tournaments ago, I went in with a fully bruised quad. My entire leg was purple. And I could barely move it for the first 3 days of that week. And I had that fight. So when nobody showed up, I was like, all right, they went and got me an exhibition with an 18 to 34 guy. I said, you know what? Nah, I'm good. Can't do that, man. I'm not going to risk injury when I've already won first place. And I'm not going to risk injury with that fight. Because first of all, my teammate already beat him. And my teammate, my boy Caden, he's like 16, 17. So what do I need to prove? If I fight you, I'm not going to be as nice as Caden. Caden's actually very, like, he's a lot more aware of the talent level, whereas I just want to run through you. And if you suck, I want to get the match over as fast as possible. So you're going to take a beating. So until you or me win. And for the last 3 years, it's usually me winning 95% of the time. So that being said, it was one of those things that you just gotta watch for. So I get it. But that leads to the next fight. The cherry on the top. Just poked right there. Just poked. Woo! Let's get this comment real quick. Yeah, yes. It was like that one. If this would have been one of those late night cards where like that Volkov Almeida fight happened at midnight, I think all of us would have been sleeping on the East Coast of the United States. I think all of us would have been sleeping because, man, dude, but that fight would have woke us up. That's the fights I love. I go back to the Van Roval fight. God, I love that fight. I get why Van won that fight. I still thought Roval won that fight, though. But hey, that's all right. It was a great boxing match. I don't understand. I mean, 400 punches, man. Wow. Anyway, so to get the Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. Okay, look at this. We have the eye poke made famous round the world. Literally destroyed all my DFS slates, destroyed everything all the money, all of my cash game lives hit, but all of my GPPs were right there. I just needed another round. I needed like 4 more punches and I was winning cash. And so was 70% of the other people. But I was going to win cash. But man, this is where one of these cards where sometimes these things go wrong. You can't blame Dana White. You can't blame Abu Dhabi. You can't blame anybody. These are fights. Like Dan said on the Fight Club of Pain last week, it's hard to judge a lot of these fights. It's hard to get in with a lot of these fights. So somebody could get hurt. Somebody get hurt during a fight. And nobody knows. And they finish the fight. Or they see it immediately and they stop the fight. Like RDR, making the bad decision after having a bad week, coming in and fighting that fight with Brandon Allen. And then saying he had broke ribs. And then that he had the rotavirus. Well, if you don't feel well, this is the main event, then you might have to reschedule. And that's hard for a fighter to do. That really is hard. So I brought up a question, and I got a couple of answers on that. And I asked Ange about it, about what makes fighters duck. Does he believe that it's true ducking? And we all know that. Like, it doesn't matter, like, okay, do people duck? Yes, they do. They do it because they know they're most likely their style is going to lose to your style, or they just don't want to fight you. And, Ange brought up a good thing. He said, sometimes there's a bigger agenda involved. So you get that kind of like, you skip this fight now, you let this person fight somebody else, you might get a better fight next time, more statistically and stylistically your style that you could win, and thus put you in a good position to get a title shot. That is the ultimate goal of all fighters, which that's happening here November 22nd, because I'm in it. I'm ready to fight that week. Going up to Batavia, New York. We're going to do the championship dinner, so they're going to have a tournament that day. They're going to give out double points for next year, so that's fun. I'm just going to start up on everybody, and then we get the Grand Champions dinner. They're going to be giving out all plaques for all of the winners. I've placed in all three of my divisions. First in fighting. Ooh, yeah! I mean, you know it. Second in weapons, third in open hand. My open hand, I didn't do a lot this year, so I probably could have moved into second. First place, like I said a couple podcasts ago, I had a chance to secure first place. This one, the person who beat me, more respect all to her, Malia. She is trained by one of my ex-senseis and good friend, Len, and she did his kata. I did my weapons kata. She took that kata, took a grand champion with it as well, too. So it was most likely either her or me were going to be the forms champion that day, and she edged me, and she edged me that. So congratulations, Malia. I go hard at that, especially with my weapons kata. But right now, I've got some other open hand katas that I got coming. So believe me, next year's coming. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I can do it all, but really, it's all about that fighting for us. I'm taking what I learned with my katas, what I learned in the dojo, what my teammates helped me with, what my teammates prepare me for, and I'm applying it in the ring. And all of them are to thank, and my senseis and my sensei for the way I fight. Without them, I'm still that video game playing dad dude. And I'm not that anymore. I still play video games. So just beat Castlevania 1 again yesterday. Anyway. So at Aspinall, we're going to consider that no contest, no losses. Of course, this week, we got UFC Vegas happening. We got Garcia versus Onama. Both are great. You're going to have to check out the Fight Club of Pain on that. Hopefully we get to see, hopefully you pop in, Jamal. I saw you popped in last week. Oh, what we got here? We got another comment. This is a bit of there's been an influx of people making Kanye Falcon. Dude, all of that going on with the internet. And then I saw a meme today. It went back and did all of John Jones eye pokes. And dude, it's just funny. I poked somebody in one of my fights before. They were about to disqualify me. I'm like, bro, I didn't mean it. He actually juked. But he juked to my left, technically, because I punched him with my right, and my thumb when he moved, my thumb just went right there. Bam. So, it happens. And because of my glove, it was more my glove. Of course, as a fighter, I keep my fists locked like this. But when you're wearing the point fighting gloves, they do have it out. So that's what happened. So I have poked somebody and almost got disqualified myself. But that's actually a fun fight. I beat the brakes off that dude. That's one of those fights that like I was talking about, you don't hear anything happening until the end. And so like halfway through like 70% of the fight, finally you see me look over to the side and everybody going, Rob, stop punching him in the head. Because we're not always allowed a head contact in point fighting, especially in the underbelts. But when you get to my division, 35 plus man division, we all like to punch each other in the face. But the judges don't always like that, and sometimes things happen. So that right there was kind of like one of those moments. Look, I poked him, man. I poked him. And you could even see me in the video saying I poked him. And they were like, hey, look, there's blood. I was like, oh, no. No. You don't get a win over me because I cut you in my glove, bro. Let me punch you in the face. I've been hit with spinning back fists. Man, I've come out with a bloody nose, a spinning back fist to my eye that purpled my eye during 2 fights against a 6'2" and a 6'4" giant, right? Nobody went to bat for me. Nobody said, oh, heat override's hurt. Let's just go save heat override. No, but when heat override busting people's chops, he gets jacked. So we're over that. Hopefully I control myself better in the future, but I have done well. And sometimes I do run my mouth. But again, the product is on the cart. The amount of work I put into the ring and at my dojo to get better is why I'm where I'm at. And if you're not putting in that same effort, just like all these fighters I just talked about, you'll lose. And just like next week, we're going to have a fighter. I already got him. He's already at the top of the list, too. They know he's going to smash this dude. Our boy, Dumas. That'll be your tip. So, that being said, I know all of you here, I do thank you for staying through that, going through the talks, seeing some of the crazy moments that I got going on, and getting into it. But this is a good fight. This is a good fight card. Garcia versus Onama. Do not sleep on it. This will be one of those cards that surprise you or fails you. But I think it's going to surprise you because I think we're going to get a lot of finishes. And when there's cards with a lot of finishes, we nail them. So that's what the Fight Club of Pain does. That's what the UFC sheriffs do. And again, that's part of my teamwork. It's part of what Dan does. It's like what Fuego Steve does on the Ultra Contrarian show. Challenges me. We'll be talking about the great plays we had, the Barkley calls, talking about Barkley, making sure you had Barkley in your lineup, making sure you had Derrick Henry in your lineup, and solidifying that and saying it with our chest, and then taking our lumps like Spencer Radler, taking that lump on our chest. Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson, 5, 6, 7 points. But that happens. That happens sometimes. So you just have to take it and you have to move on to next week. So let's get to it. Let's get to the fantasy football seasonal part of this podcast. The IDP player of the week. Bro. Yo, I got you on this one. Drake Thomas of the Seattle Seahawks. He's going to Washington fresh off a bye. 2% owned. This dude literally every time this man gets more than 66% snap share, he scores double-digit IDP points. If he gets over 66, and I think he will, coming up and going forward, nobody's going to be on Drake Thomas. You probably can get him if you have a minimum of $1 tonight or $0. He's a great backup. You want this man on your team. If you're in a dynasty league, you're going to want to go pick up Drake Thomas for the Seattle Seahawks because he gets it done. Let's do it. 32 tackles this season thus far. He has 2 sacks. He's got 5 passes defended and 2 stuffed. Here goes the crazy thing. Before the bye week against Houston, he had 3 passes defended, and he recorded his 2 stuffs, on top of playing one of the best percentages of snap count all year long. That is why I feel he's getting the green light to go, and that is why Heat Override, the IDP hero, is giving you the green light to go pick up Drake Thomas. Because I'm telling you, man, this type of production, this type of hunger, that type of pain bringing exists in only a few players or people in this world. And when you see somebody playing at that high level with the small amount of time he's been getting up to this point, and he takes advantage of it, he's hungry, man. Get that hungry man on your team so you can win your championship this year. Might do it. And if you win your championship with Drake Thomas, you heard it here first. You heard it here on Bring the Pain at Dr. Roto. Yeah! That's why we have the right cure for all of your fantasy needs. Woo! And the best slogans. Nobody's got more slogans than me. I got 50 of them. 50. I can sit here and do it. Well, let's get to it. Let's get to the Macho Pick of the Week.
Knock, knock, I'm back. Ooh, yeah. My boy Derrick Henry, he'd override, went a little nutsy, talking about 200 yards. But I said Derrick Henry's going to be the guy. Ooh, yeah. Got the 2 touchdowns. Yeah. That was the cream. It was going on the top as he rised. 360. Yeah.
And like I said, that won us a lot of money, plus 2 touchdown prop bet. So you got to get to Dr. Roto. You got to deal it out. But the Macho Pick of the Week for this week is Kimani Vidal. I mean, he's playing the Tennessee Titans, man. Did y'all just see what Jonathan Taylor did to the Tennessee Titans? The Chargers do not need to throw as often as they have. They don't need to get their boys lit up out there. The Chargers are playing at a great speed. They showed that when they punked the Vikings, and the Vikings have a good defense, right? But I'm telling you right now, that Kimani Vidal is the cream of the crop this week. Because, I mean, when you get 23 carries against Minnesota, and then you see what Tennessee just did, they're going to do the same thing. He's 6,300 on DraftKings, perfect price. He will be higher owned. I do know that. Well, here, let's just say it this way. I say this every week. Every time everybody says everybody's going to be on Kimani Vidal, you're not. He's probably going to be 20% owned. Maybe more. Maybe I'm wrong. But if you give me a $6,300 or $7,700 on FanDuel, that's a little more, but I can work with the 77. But you give me $6,300 on DraftKings, and we're going to do some work? Oh, we working. They don't need to do it. Get Vidal in your lineup. He's definitely going to score a touchdown. And, heck, he could get an 80-yard touchdown. Vidal has been explosive. He's kind of been a back-and-forth player. Injuries in and out the lineup. Didn't really have confidence last year. But what he's playing with right now, at the level he's playing at right now, I feel confident to give him the Macho Rub of the Week. And since that's the new thing we kind of do with it, and that is your player. Oh, boy. What we got here? Dante. Yes! Dude, so what happened with Aspinall happened with Reese on that card with me. I had 100% exposure to Zachary Reese. And when that nut hit came down, I was like, no, bro, Dante Johnson is going to destroy Dumas. I said this, I don't know if you were on that. I said this to Dan. Dumas deserves to get destroyed, okay? He deserves to get destroyed because of what he caused. And that hurt could also go for Gane next time. Whenever he fights, I'm probably going to bet against Gane. But I'm telling you, man, I've watched a lot of tape, like I know you have watched a lot of tape on Dante. And if you don't know who Dante Johnson is, Dante Johnson, if you're watching this podcast, UFC, anybody, any of your friends, if you know Dante Johnson, I will reach out to you. I will have you on for an interview after this weekend because I know you're going to knock out Dumas fast. Really fast. And if you want part of my parlay of pain this week, it's most likely going to be that. Now, FanDuel, don't be going to hide those numbers on the knockout like you did with Atebe Gautier. You waited till like literally the day of the event. Like you waited till an hour before the event started, I swear. Maybe I'm wrong, probably wrong, but it felt like I couldn't get that knockout bet with Gautier until like an hour before the event started. So, for me, when I'm looking at that, I need that play. I want that play, but I'm telling you right now, bro, look at Johnson's back. He's got that Mike Tyson back. He's got ripples coming down his back. I'm just like, oh, dude. And he just goes in like he just did on the Dana White Contender Series. Bro, he stepped in and was slugging on that big-ass dude, right? And that was a big dude. And he took him down. He goes forward. I've seen him slump dudes. The dude got back up. I can't even remember who that white chubby dude was. But it was like the video looked like a phone camera from 10 years ago recorded this, right? But he the first few fighters to get the 2 no contests. Dude, Jamal, it could be. But you know what? The only way he's going to get a no contest one is if somehow an eye poke happens and he plays that role again. Because Johnson ain't going to hit him low. Johnson ain't going to kick him. He don't need to kick him. Johnson, I know you can kick you. Don't kick him. Just go right in and knock that boy out like you think you Mike Tyson. You could be the next day Mike Tyson. I'm telling you, if you haven't watched Dante Johnson, go watch some Dante Johnson. This dude hits people like everything is just thrown. And he's a good boxer. He's got the moves. He's got the head movement. He's coming in. He's sticking. But, bro, when he comes with those hooks, man, it's lights out. It's lights out, man. All right, everybody. Thank you for putting up with me. I went an hour again. It's crazy how now the UFC being part of this show has extended a lot of the show in that. And I know that everybody gives out their reviews and it's a little late in the week because I have to wait for the NFL. And I don't need to put out another podcast when I'm watching the NFL. I watch the NFL because a lot of my content that I give all of you comes from fight theory and game theory. I do the research, but I watch my fighters because as a fighter, I want to see how these attacks can go and what the openings can be. That has led to a lot of finishes for the Fight Club of Pain this year. Have a great day, everybody, and always remember to bring the pain. And thanks to everybody that commented. Much love. We will see y'all on Thursday for another episode of it. The UFC Sheriff. Ooh, yeah.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. Until the next visit, be well,